Hey, that's pretty good.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's technical problems and lackluster multiplayer are unable to overshadow its triumphant leap into an open world. Compelling characters, a huge batch of new creatures and an excellent OST help the titles on their mission to renovate the franchise. They celebrate everything that makes Pokemon games endearing, the mysteries, the surprises, the feeling of freedom, and, in doing so, create an experience that's probably the best in the entire main series.
You can never have too many Pokemon!
I have had such a wonderful time with Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. None of the issues that I have with these games are anything but the most mild and forgivable irritations. Meanwhile, the promise of a big but blissfully uncomplicated world, filled with adventure and monsters to collect, brought me right back to what drew me into the whole Pokemon franchise in the first place. Is Scarlet and Violet a technical mess? Sure. Do I care? Not in the slightest. I'm here for the Pokemon, not to count frames.
I'm saying yes!
Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet prove that the series has not rested on its laurels. It's the most groundbreaking game in the main saga since Black and White, and will allow you to play Pokemon in a different way to the formula that was already starting to show wear and tear. Technically it could, and should, be better, but its modeling is so good and so varied, that it doesn't prevent you from enjoying the experience even if you would have liked to step further in the graphics and animations.
Better, but not good enough.
Despite some technical problems, the new formula created by Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for the franchise has delighted us. A wide variety of interesting Pokemon, a more mature story than usual and a very fun gameplay cycle result in the most complete installments of the saga and an outstanding experience for players both veteran and new.
Oh god, it's so good.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is a must-play adventure for everyone, even for those who have yet to take the first step on their own Pokemon journey.
So good.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet capture all the magic of the past and fuse it with the improvements of the future, resulting in 2 fresh installments with very good ideas.
So good and tasty?
Pokemon Scarlet is perhaps the pinnacle of team's effort to put the game to open world frenzy and push series further. 3 main lines a changing way of your progress, offer plenty of options but keep the main promise, to wander and catch them all.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are very worth it. This is a fantastic wrap-up to a great year on the Nintendo Switch, and I can't wait to see how Game Freak and the Pokemon Company take everything that worked here and expand on it in the future.
Design-wise, this is one of the best and most revolutionary Pokemon games, but there are way too many technical issues.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet for the series blew a wind of change. It broke the Pokemon series used for more than 20 years of linear design, but it still reflects the low technical ability of the Game Freak. It's far from a good game, but it's still the most fun Pokemon game on Switch today, enough to make me look forward to the next generation.
I'm not giving up.
Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet focus on exploring, but the technical issues are hard to ignore. The story struggles to expand its limits, so it's weak and shallow. The gameplay is solid as ever, luckily, and it introduces some new mechanics perfect for PvP. Discovering and capturing Pokemon is enjoyable thanks to many new ways to explore the region of Palworld. We hope they will be the last transitional Pokemon games.
Guess you're right.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have finally delivered on the promise of an open-world entry, but with all the technical issues and stripped-back features, it's hard to not feel like the Nintendo Switch held these games back. But if this is what an open-world Pokemon game is now, it's tantalizing to consider what is coming in the future.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet take a step forward that fans have wanted to see for years, but it's not quite far enough.
Better, but not good enough.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet contain high highs and low lows. The open world feels very liberating, but technical problems wear it down.
Ugly visuals and an all-around lack of polish detract from what is an incredibly strong, compelling, and well-designed core adventure. one that represents the series' strongest outing in a very long time otherwise.
They're disappointed, but you'll get over it.
This time it's up to us to set the pace. With a successful incursion into the open world, Pokemon evolves, and the result is unfortunately shamefully ugly. It's -1.
Scarlet and Violet offer some great new ideas for the Pokemon franchise, ruined by a world that seems very rushed and unfinished.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet take the long-awaited step into a fully open world, but one poorly implemented and marred by frustration. A compelling story and characters are a saving grace in what is ultimately a fun game, but Pokemon's attempts at modernizing continue to fall disappointingly short.
Its three heads represent joy, sorrow, and anger.
All three heads look pretty angry to me.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet have failed as open-world games. Its premise with 3 routes seems original, but it becomes a repetitive task in which many games in the gyms are really boring. Although the Pokemon are better recreated than ever in their wild environments, the overall performance of the game is terrible, affecting the gameplay and giving the impression that we are playing an incomplete game.
This isn't a forest. It's an open field.
A milestone in the franchise, in both good and bad ways. In the end, the flaws of the 9th generation prevail. These additions do not go beyond disappointing average.
Pokemon's first fully open world title has a lot of ideas but never quite manages to stick the landing with any of them.
The pit is it.
Unfortunately, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet didn't get the development time they deserved. It's hard to see a franchise that means so much to me finally start heading in the right direction only to come up short. I sincerely hope that Game Freak and Nintendo will start listening to fans and critics and turn things around.
Those crazy contraptions can't create the kind of classic catastrophe one can cause by cleverly concealing a calamitous crater.
The open-world gameplay of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is a brilliant direction for the future of the franchise, but this promising shift is sabotaged by the numerous ways in which Scarlet and Violet feel deeply unfinished.
Better, but not good enough.
An absolute mess. Everything to the piss poor performance and graphics to the entirely uninteresting open world makes you wish you were playing Legends Arceus instead.
Ultra very bad game, optimization, internet for bosses, just go and def yourself. All is bad, annoying text, 5 FPS all time.
I'm getting angry just thinking about it!
El Medjugorje de Pokémon de Mundo Abito de Nintendo Switch. Unexclusivo de calidad.
गैरी सर कहो वक्त की कीमत करोगे तभी आगे बढ़ोगे ऐश पता भी है आसपास क्या चल रहा है मुझे पोकेमॉन मिल गया और तुम्हें नहीं
After Pokemon Legends Arceus, I had high hopes for Game Freak in making a genuinely good Pokemon title. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are not those titles. They're buggy, ugly and frankly disappointing messes and show the absolute failure of Game Freak.
That was dramatic.
Aside from the graphics, which are ugly, the game fails to grasp the concept of an open-world RPG. It is a huge and empty world, exploration is not rewarding, the NPCs are boring, and, above everything else, the gyms are not programmed to grow in difficulty as you defeat the other gym leaders, even though you can defeat them in any order.
That was pathetic!
This franchise is dead. The new designs are all mediocre, the open world is boring and everything thoughtlessly mashed together. The world is extremely ugly and looks like a PS2 game. Glitches everywhere that the devs refuse to fix before dropping more cash grab DLC. Do yourself a favor and go play Pokemon instead.
But you cannot escape your fate.
As it wasn't enough that the game is full of bugs, they also removed the battle tower. Awful game.
Wow, I'm so excited. Can you tell by my face?
How is it even legal for Nintendo to release this game in the broken that it is in? It's a shame because this game has some great ideas but the glitchiness just ruins it.
I don't think they'll ever stop.
Should be called Pokemon S. How could Game Freak release an unfinished buggy mess and demand full price for it? Worst Pokemon games ever.
I seem to be losing my equilibrium.
While it has a decent innovation to the Pokemon saga, it's an absolute shame that developers put zero effort to the game just to make fast money, and the result is one of the worst AAA games in history.
The worst Pokemon experience in my entire life. Broken game, Story inconsistent and poor Pokemon design ... very bad. Bought this game was a star. The future I will not buy others Game Freak's game.
Don't waste your time. Game Freak hadn't made a good game in 10 years and this continues that trend. Obscenely low effort garbage.
Cringeworthy and boring story. Visuals and graphics is appalling, even for Game Freak's low standards.
My creators have used and betrayed me, so I stand alone.